When we asked the NSTU's past presidents to share their reflections of the Nova Scotia Teachers Union in celebration of our 125th year in 2020, each of them highlighted their experiences of annual council, the NSTU's most important annual event. For me, annual council demonstrates the passionate dedication you have for public education, your students, your profession, and your union. It's where members who work in roles of all kinds in every part of the province contribute vital perspective from the front line and help us set direction that matters for us all. It's a unifying event that shapes how we work together to carry out our mission, to promote and advance the teaching profession, advocate for quality public education, and support our members. I'm pleased we're able to present you past impressions of our annual meeting as we celebrate our 100th anniversary of Annual Council, and I want to thank our past presidents for lending their voices to this celebration. Enjoy.
Council has changed a lot over the years. Also, council used to be during March break. I don't know if people remember that far back.
Over the years, we've enjoyed going, and like I would enjoy the debates and in the meetings, but my wife and kids, they would enjoy using the hotel pool and that kind of thing.
If you think about over the span of your attendance at council, if there are any interesting stories or...
Oh my God. Yeah, no, well, actually...
And?
And what? Hopefully we'll both be there.
I remember Lunenburg County was famous for its receptions, for its parties, with all of the Lunenburg pudding and the fish and all of that. And that was a great reason for my being elected. I mean, we were a very social group, and people loved to come to Lunenburg County.
I just remember at the end of that weekend, my first council, it was like, wow, this is way better than losing the first vice presidency.
The first time I was a delegate there, I thought it was absolutely wonderful. I was awed by the proceedings, by the speakers that took turn, by the knowledge of the staff, for instance. And so I was really awed by it all.
From the first council I went to, I was always felt almost honored to be there.
It has evolved so much over the years. When I first started going to council in the 70s, we would meet, I think it was always at the Westin to begin with, but the smallness added a lot to the camaraderie, and you were able to talk with everyone.
Well, I've had the privilege of chairing more councils than anybody else so far. I've chaired 10 councils, 4 as president and 6 after leaving the presidency.
When I was president, the move was afoot to have an independent chair at council. And so I was the last, and previous to that, the president chaired council, which was a really, really cool thing to do. It was so exhilarating.
There was the debate, and I was chairing and I thought that was a real important thing for the president to chair that meeting. You had to be on your toes.
Council is very different for presidents now, because we used to run the meeting ourselves. It was a very stressful time, especially if you had these serious issues to deal with.
I can remember one time, and I made this mistake once and only once, in the chair. There was an issue on the table. It was being debated around, and it seemed to me that there was a piece of information that wasn't being disclosed. It wasn't on the table. So I thought, well, I'll provide it. Not a good idea. The council did not want to hear the president in the chair telling them something. They didn't want to hear it from me. They didn't boo, but I certainly got the chill, and I did not do that again.
You didn't have a break. The only break is when they gave the budget and the vice president took over. So I remember, well, I guess it was the 94, we even added a day to council. So it was hour after hour after hour, highly stressful.
It was a really good feeling by the time Sunday evening rolled around and you felt you had a really cohesive organization.
So it's helpful to have an independent chair these days, because at least that person is just really being, making sure things are steered along properly, not wanting to add an opinion, which is never a good idea from the chair.
It's toned down a lot. It used to be the campaigning that used to happen at council. Of course, presidents were elected at council. There were breakfasts, there were, a multitude of choices when it came to what you were going to do on your free time.
So many memories, and elections at council were so big an item.
Because it was done there, you had to be really in touch with the delegates and the alternates. The politicking was done there. It meant that you didn't get much sleep because you had to be seen and you had to be heard and you had to be questioned.
You were running elections for vice president and for president, and people would come out with, so many, the signs and the...
Lots of politicking.
Oh, so much politicking. And I loved it.
With the change, it meant people had to travel the province and had to get time off from school. All those arrangements had to be made. But I think a lot was lost because of the loss of the elections for the president at the council.
Having a president elected now by universal suffrage and not at council, that really changed how council works.
People who really know what's going on in the union are the people who attend council. And a lot of those people attend year after year. They get to know everyone, they get to know what they're doing, what their involvements are in the union. It
would be interesting for teachers to experience some of that kind of thing. Now it's a provincial-wide, and I certainly endorse the universal suffrage and everything, but there was a lot to be said for the elections the other way too.
And people had a good time, and they got to know each other, and the spirit was there, and so it was, and at that time, by the way, my first council, it was during March break. It was the whole March break. So it was not just, a weekend as it is now. But maybe it was too long. But there were some sore heads sometimes in the morning.
Council has always been a place to network, to meet new people, to see what's being done in the other locals. Locals work really hard to connect with their members, and council is a great place for camaraderie and for solidarity.
I think they're a wonderful device because you get a chance to meet with and discuss with people of common cause, if you will, in the sense of being from all over the province, representatives from every district local and so on at this annual meeting.
Delegates come from all over the province, they meet, they have lots of resolutions to consider, which would direct the union this way or that. They set their minds to considering those resolutions and the implications of each resolution. Many resolutions get very intense debate, and you see people considering a particular resolution from one point of view, then another point of view, and point of views that you never thought of.
To the individual member who is at council, I think it's important to be there to listen to how things are in the other areas of the province, because even though we are the same, we're very much the same, we are very different.
It was always so interesting to hear what was going on, and you always knew that this was coming my way or it happened here in Halifax and what else were. So the debate was always very rich.
And you certainly got to know how the different areas of the provinces felt by the way their delegates spoke at council.
The membership at council, not the staff, not the lawyers, not the parliamentarian or the chair. I'd like to see them taking back their control. Council is supposed to be the ultimate authority and the ultimate decision maker. Well, council is the people that are there, not the head table and not staff and not the lawyers.
Transparency, I think, is very important. I think those organizing council too have to be open enough to allow some contentious issues to come to the floor and the debate.
I was no longer chair, but I got to sit as a delegate and participate as a delegate. And that had all kinds of advantages because I got to speak on issues as the president, and I felt that the membership, the delegates, wanted to hear what the president had to say on certain issues because the president was working those issues every single day and the president was in the thick of them, and so the president could give, this direction or that direction.
This resolution was to change the name from union to association. And I didn't like the way the floor was moving. I thought we might lose this. I looked around it. I said, "Are you ready for the question?" Aye. Those in favor, and the motion was soundly defeated. It was a matter of reading the floor at the time, calling for the vote at the right time. I was good at that. Mary Roach thanked me many times for doing it for her.
Several years ago, council moved to a voting system based on pushing a number. Way back when, we had a committee-appointed council that went around and counted your hands going up, yeas and nays. And doing that gave all of council, after all the debate, it gave them a chance to get a feeling for who was for something, who was against it. Was it pitting rural against urban? Was it pitting a program against another? What's the seat of the problem? So you had a better feel for council itself because you saw how people were voting. Now, it was done away with because it took too much time.
It's a homogeneous group to one extent, they're all teachers, but it's also a very complex heterogeneous group because some of them come from locals that are, 25, 30 members, and others come from huge locals, some from rural and urban. Some have PhDs in their background, others have come up in a more traditional path perhaps. So as a balance, if it works through council, it can nearly always work with the profession.
In most cases, I believe the council displays its collective wisdom and goes in the right direction.
I've been attending council pretty much my entire career. Maybe my first few years, I didn't go, I think, but I've probably been there 27 or 28 years.
It's just such an important part of our organization, and I would encourage every teacher out there to go to at least one NSTU annual council.
Over the years, we've heard comments about the wisdom of council and so on. And the reality of it is, over the years, very rarely did council, I think, ever make a mistake.
I would say be involved in your union and go to annual council, be there for the policy setting, and make sure that you leave your mark on the organization that looks out for you.
Council is the governing body, and it's a wonderful experience to go.
One of the things that Mary Lou Redmond always used to say, just trust in the wisdom of council.
To me, it's a great institution. It is the supreme decision maker of the union. That's where the big decisions are made, and I hope it continues to be exactly what it's been in the past, a very wise, deliberate body.